Well, I'm a little out of practice. The Penguins were not. The Pittsburgh Penguins rally against themselves in a very muddy second period in which they took 4 penalties. The New Jersey Devils took a couple penalties. The Penguins eventually roll to a 4-1 win over those same Devils here at PPG Paints Arena. I am Dan Kingerski on the Pittsburgh Hockey Now platforms. Where to begin with that game? The wild fluctuations in the first period. Let's talk about kind of the tactical game very much dovetails with the Penguins' effort in the first and third periods. I didn't expect to see some of the things I saw in the first period. To wit, Ben Kindle, all 175 pounds of him, if he's soaking wet, runs over Nico Hischier, the New Jersey Devils captain, very good center in his own right. Kindle runs him over, takes the puck. Penguins scoring chances. The Penguins tactically were not very good. They were structured, perhaps playing defense and in defending the Devils. They were kind of poor getting out of their own zone. The breakouts were sketchy. There was a lot of individual effort to launch what came next. The game was really sort of haphazard, especially because of all the penalties in the second period. The referees called 7, enforced 6 because on one of the penalty calls, it was a delayed call on the Penguins, Dougie Hamilton banks it off of Paul Cotter for the Devils' only goal. Otherwise, the second period was just special teams back and forth. So in that regard, we're going to focus, I think, on the first and third periods, because when you're that much special teams, Tommy Novak only played 13 minutes on Thursday, but that's not because he was playing poorly. Actually, when he was in the game, he was playing pretty well, but he's not a penalty killer, so he's sitting there getting ice cold. When he gets those little shifts, it's just getting back up to speed. In the first and third, I didn't like the Penguins' top line. Ricard Raquel in the middle with Avery Hayes and Brian Rust. They had positive advanced analytics. So for those of you who are devotees to said natural stat trick and money puck and everything else, you'll be like, Dan, they played great because they did have 4 high danger scoring chances. They yielded just 1, at least in the publicly available stats. However, they never really, they never did put the Devils on their heels. They never applied a lot of pressure. They never made the crowd gasp with what's going to happen next. Avery Hayes had a couple of moments where he, does that scrappy thing he does and gets to the puck. No, it was the Penguins' bottom 9, let's call it. The fourth line, exceptional. They started the game and played a lot against Team USA hero Jack Hughes. By the way, Hughes, huge pop from the Penguins crowd, USA chant. I haven't gotten to the story yet, at least as of recording this. Maybe by the time you see it, I'll have had a chance to write the story. Jack Hughes, a lot of praise for Pittsburgh fans for doing that. Man, that kid is just, he's becoming a media darling and handling it with aplomb and grace. I digress. The fourth line took care of Jack Hughes, but also provided some offensive push early in the game. That's really what turned the game, was a couple of good shifts from the fourth line. The second line, Malkin, Novak, Chinakhov. Chinakhov took a minute, new daddy, to find his footing. Malkin was really trying hard. He was a try-hard Thursday, and by that I mean he was present. He was noticeable. He also made some big mistakes. There were a couple of forced passes. There were a couple of times when it looked like he was trying to do too much. He settled down in the third period. Igor Chinakhov picks his spots perhaps better than any other Penguins player and most players in the league. When he sees an opportunity to go for that breakaway or to bolt behind the defenseman, my goodness, his first step covers like 50 feet. He's just gone. Gets a breakaway goal. Wrist shot, Jacob Markstrom, who made plenty of brilliant saves. Markstrom was good. Let me take a look here. The final shot tally for the Penguins, they had 34. And Markstrom had to make a lot of really good saves. I thought for a moment he actually was going to steal a game for the Devils because it's 1-1 into the third period. That's when the Penguins' motor began to go. Number one star, probably the best player for the Penguins, Connor Clifton, baby. Clifton had 7 hits, 1 goal, +1. And in the report card, I couldn't help but quote the recently passed Robert Duvall, who, a great Days of Thunder quote, looked at Cole Trickle, says, "Go out and hit the pace car. You hit every other bleeping thing. I want you to be perfect." Well, Clifton just hit everything that moved Thursday. And I went up to talk to him after the game, and I was like, I'm pretty confident saying you had a pretty good game. And he's like, well, in the first period, I wasn't closing well, which is true. Everybody was a bit off or a little bit rusty, but they were energetic and they played with intent. But in the second and third period, he thought he got to his gaps, got to his game. He and Ryan Shea, pretty good pairing, really good game for both of them. You always look at the ice time to see if the coach agreed. And they played 18 and 19 minutes, or actually Shea played 20 minutes. So 18 and 20 minutes for that pairing kind of goes along with what I'm saying, that they had a good game. But Clifton was just eminently noticeable, impactful, scores the big goal. I don't know that Ryan Shea actually saw the game-winning goal, because how it all unfolded, the third line was really moving the puck well. Comes back to Shea, top of the zone. He tees it up and whistles a slap shot, hits the post. He looks to the sky because he knew he had the net. Does a little twirl like, I can't believe it. In the time he does this, Connor Clifton pounces on that puck. It hit the near post and carried him all the way out to the top of the zone. I mean, that's taking some paint off the post, eh? And Clifton settles it and slams it into the net from about 35, 40 feet. Top shelf, too. It was such a rocket. It hits that kind of the white crossbar behind the red crossbar and just rockets right back out. There was a moment, did he score? So while Shea is adjusting to missing, Clifton buries it, and that turns out to be the game winner. Another performance really to call out was Arturs Shilov's. Really good. I was curious. I thought Coach Dan Muse would sort of start with Stuart Skinner, because he seemed to be favoring Skinner before the break. Whether it was because Shilov's played in the Olympics was a little bit warmer, or there's something bigger to it, don't know. Muse has very carefully avoided any information. Asked a couple of times why he went with Shilov's. Really great poker player this week, Dan Muse. And Shilov's was really good. The save he made on Arseny Kiss My Gritsuk, unbelievable. Rebound laying there just beyond the crease. Looks like a wide open net. You assume New Jersey's about to pound it in. Gritsuk shoots it, and Shilov's does the full splits, reaches out the glove and the pad, probably as stretchy as a human being could be, takes it away, made a couple other really good saves as well. In fact, both goaltenders were, well, first of all, both goaltenders were Olympians, but also both goalies were pretty good on Thursday. So the fallout of the Penguins' victory, their first game without Sidney Crosby, they answered a whole lot of questions, didn't they? They now have a 7-point lead on the Columbus Blue Jackets, who have, statistically, Columbus is the team chasing them. Washington began the night 3 points back, but Washington had played 4 more games than the Penguins. So after the Penguins win, they're now 5 ahead of Washington with 3 games in hand, and they are 7 points ahead of Columbus, who lost to the Boston Bruins. So 25 games to go. The Penguins have a 7-point playoff cushion. I think that just about does it. I am en route to New York on Friday. If you see a black car with its lights flashing you in the left lane, just slowly move over. I'll wave and say hi. All right, kids, like, share, comment, subscribe. It's been a day. Penguins win 4-1. Have fun.